Imagine this. You cross into the United States chasing opportunity. You're young, unknown, replaceable. You adapt. You survive. Then prison happens. Steel doors, concrete walls, hierarchies you didn't create, but must obey. Years later, your name becomes associated with one of the most aggressive criminal organizations in Mexico, Jalisco New Generation Cartel. How does that transformation happen? How does someone go from migrant to inmate to deportee to cartel leader? Let's understanding how environment shapes psychology and how psychology shapes power. Before he was known as El Mencho, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes migrated to the United States as a young man. Migration creates instability. You leave your support system behind. You enter a society where you may feel invisible. Economic pressure becomes constant. He was eventually arrested on drug-related charges and served time in U.S. prison before being deported to Mexico. And prison changes people. Inside, hierarchy rules everything. Weakness invites exploitation. Reputation protects you. Observation becomes survival. Psychologists call this adaptive hardening. Your brain sharpens. Your emotions narrow. Your reactions become calculated. You learn power structures. You learn discipline. You learn that control equals safety. After deportation, he returned to Mexico. During that period, there was violent cartel fragmentation. This is where the trajectory shifts. He didn't return to immediate power. He started lower in the hierarchy, working within existing criminal structures connected to regional trafficking groups. And this is critical. Rising in organized crime isn't about chaos, it's about reliability. At lower ranks, you prove three things. You follow orders, you enforce rules, you don't break under pressure. In violent criminal systems, loyalty is currency, and reputation spreads fast. Step by step, he moved upward. First as an operator, then as a trusted enforcer, then as someone capable of coordinating operations. Each promotion reinforces identity. You're no longer surviving. You're managing. You're influencing. You're building alliances. When internal fractures and external conflicts destabilized rival structures, opportunities opened. And this is when the name El Mencho began to carry weight, not just as a participant, but as a decision maker. Leadership transitions in criminal organizations often happen during instability, when rivals are weakened, when alliances shift, when someone demonstrates both aggression and organization. Reports from authorities suggest that during the early 2000s, as the Jalisco New Generation Cartel consolidated power, El Mencho emerged as its central leader. And here's the psychological shift. Moving from lower rank to leader requires more than toughness. It requires vision, control, the ability to command loyalty and enforce discipline at scale. Once leadership solidified, the organization became known for aggressive expansion, rapid territorial growth, direct confrontations with rivals, high-profile acts of violence linked by authorities to cartel conflicts. This wasn't random brutality. It was strategic escalation, instrumental aggression. Instrumental aggression asks one question: what action guarantees compliance? If fear guarantees compliance, fear becomes policy. Over time, repeated enforcement shapes internal culture. Loyalty is reinforced through intimidation. Discipline is maintained through severe consequences. Reputation becomes protection. The name El Mencho transforms from an alias into a symbol, and symbols amplify power. But here's the cost. When leadership is built on fear, it must be constantly reinforced. One show of strength must be followed by another. Any perceived weakness risks challenge. So escalation becomes cyclical. Ruthlessness becomes expectation, and expectation becomes identity. Psychologically, this creates enormous pressure at the top. Constant threat monitoring, shrinking trust circles, hypervigilance as a baseline. From the outside, it looks like cold calculation. From the inside, it can feel like permanent survival mode. There's a concept called identity fusion. It happens when a leader and the organization become inseparable. At that stage, stepping away isn't just losing power, it's losing self. The higher the rank, the narrower the world. Power expands influence outward, but it restricts freedom inward. Constant relocation, layered security, limited trust. The system that elevates you also confines you. The evolution from migrant to prisoner, to deportee to rising operator, to El Mencho, leader of a powerful cartel, wasn't one dramatic leap. It was incremental adaptation. He created a rival army to the real army. He created a state within a state. Until the end came, as it always does, he was eliminated. Without their leader, the cartel members spiraled out of control. They wanted blood. They wanted revenge. Cities burned. People lived in fear. For a moment, it felt as if Mexico was on the brink of civil war, and El Mencho taught us migration destabilized identity, prison sharpened survival instincts, lower rank roles proved reliability, opportunity rewarded aggression, leadership amplified ruthlessness. Understanding this trajectory reveals how systems built on fear reward certain psychological traits, because in environments where dominance equals survival, the person who adapts fastest often rises highest, and sometimes they become the system itself. Now he is gone, but the pattern remains the same. Sooner or later, another one will rise, and the cycle continues.